So today we're going to talk about integrating the science and engineering practices into your classroom.
Later. Oops. So let me move it for you.
Okay. Thank you. And here is a little bit about your NCSLA leadership. I am Michelle Ellis, and I am the president of NCSLA, at least for the next few months. Carla Billups is our past president, and she's been putting on these great webinars. Very excited, and thank you, Carla, for your hard work. Christy Whitworth is our executive director, and Melaine Ricard is our president-elect.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Whitworth. I'm the executive director for NCSLA. And in that role, I also serve on the development committee with all those other folks. I'm here to introduce our 2022-2023 sponsors for NCSLA events this year. We have, and we hope that you take a moment to find out more about our sponsors because they all contribute in different ways to making our year possible. We have SMT and the Burroughs Wellcome Fund, Wake Forest School of Medicine, and they have a moment to speak later in a little bit. We have one ABSS and Carolina Biological, Explore Learning, Legends of Learning, Pasco Scientific, STEMscope Science, Texas Instruments, FOSS Delta, LabAIDs, LearnEd Notebooks, STEM SENC, and Vernier.
Okay, thanks, Christy.
And here I am again. So some great announcements of upcoming events. Our next webinar is April 13th from 5:30 to 7. So this will be concentrating on teaching phenomena. We do have our leadership summit. It is Saturday, May 6th. And it's actually at Horizons Unlimited, and that's going to be in Salisbury, North Carolina. And more details will be coming soon on our website. PBL workshop is August 1st through the 3rd, and that is our PBLs through Wake Forest, one of our sponsors as well. It'll be held in Charlotte, Garinger High School, which is where I now am. So we're very excited to host everyone for that PBL workshop.
Yeah, and I have, you'll all get access to this. You'll get access to this PowerPoint, and we have the flyer link to it. So, and it will be on the website as well.
Also, awards time. Woohoo! Love that. So now we have the Michael C. Jackson Award, and we have nominations open for that through March 29th. So we encourage you, those great science leaders that you know, we encourage you to submit an application for them. And yeah, want to see all the great things that are being done in North Carolina. And also our NCSLA elections nominations are open. We're looking for positions for district directors. And that's 2 positions that are currently open. So please nominate someone for that. And also president-elect. We're looking for a nomination for that as well. And the deadline is this Friday, February 10th. So think of great people you know, send them our way.
And you can find more information on all of this on our website, which leads me to our webmaster, Beth Harris. She's going to take you to our very new website. And I think I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, you got it? Yeah, good. Good job. So Beth, we can't hear you.
There we go. I'm sorry. I've been talking and whatever. Anyway, so our brand spanking new website, which is awesome. It has a lot of the same stuff that you're used to about NCSLA. There's our board of directors, membership, which there'll be more awards. So if you want to nominate for someone for that award, here's the form. Events, Carla mentioned the problem-based learning workshop this summer. So all the details are there, fellows, and the newsletter. But I want to show you some of the new features. So if you go, sorry,
I gotta listen to this while we eat. Okay. And watch the
if you go up in the corner, there's the little person icon there, and this is where you can log in. And access a lot more. So a couple of things that are different. We have a membership directory that is only available to members when they log in. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about that. After you log in, you can go back to this little guy and view your profile. And there's lots of great information there. So first of all, it gives you all the information that you typed in when you joined CSLA. So if any of that changes, you can use the blue button and edit your profile. My membership is a lifetime because I'm a past president. So that's another good reason to run for president-elect. But it will show you when your membership expires. And when it gets close to that time, there'll be a big blue button here that says renew now. So you'll so super easy to renew your membership and to figure out when that needs to happen. You can view what the other members see on your member profile. And if you don't like having, say, your address available to everybody, you can go back to your profile, go to privacy. This is the current settings of who can see what. Members only see most of the stuff. And if you want to change things, you can edit that. So you can change, if you don't want the whole world to see your email, you can make it to members only or nobody. So you can control what is visible on that membership directory, which again is only visible to members. Even when it says anybody, I don't have it linked anywhere for the public to see, and I don't plan on doing that. Other things you can see are your subscription to our newsletter. If you want to add photos from a meeting, you can add that here. Event registration. So if you're not sure if you registered, so it tells me what I've registered for the next webinar, I'm all ready to go. All of my invoices and payments. So if you need records for taxes or anything like that, they're right there, and the same with donations. So lots of great features there. A directory so you can see all the other members. You can search so you can find out what other members are in your district, which might be a great feature. So I'm really excited about these kind of added bonuses for our members. Also, let's see, on the homepage, I wanted to kind of scroll through that. So we'll have whatever the upcoming event will be featured right after our little slideshow at the top. So Carla mentioned, nominating for office, awards nominations, joining a committee, they're all right there. Our wonderful partners who make this all possible. Upcoming events will always be listed here. I'm going to add in the meeting in May. I'm excited about that. If you want to donate to our trust fund, connect with us on social media. We post the recordings of these webinars on our YouTube channel for members. So that's always there. And I think that's pretty much everything. Did I miss anything, Carla?
Newsletter. Can you show us about the newsletter?
Yeah, so the newsletter right now, there's not a whole lot right now because our first newsletter is since the new website is hopefully coming out soon. We've archived like in our board Google Drive, we have all the past newsletters, but we will have all the past newsletters. There'll be an archive link under this once we send out a newsletter, hopefully in the next few weeks.
Okay.
But all members are subscribed for that. And if you want to change your subscription, that is again under your profile up here.
All right. Well, thank you, Beth. I know, and thank you for doing all that work. I know that's a lot of work to get that going. And
I do want to mention that the URL is the same. There was a brief couple weeks where we were making the transfer, but it's still ncsla.net for everything.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, let me get back to sharing my screen. Oh, that's not what you want to see. Let's see, your screen sharing is paused. Why? Why is it paused? Let me stop share and then go back and do that. why aren't y'all able to see my screen? Anyone know? You saw it before.
I stopped sharing, so that shouldn't.
Mine, it
problem.
says it's paused, but where do I unpause it?
Who can share?
New share. Oh, host only, all participants. New share. It's not letting me do it. Oh, Lord. Okay. This is why you have tech people, isn't it?
I'm going to push a button on my side as one of the hosts and see if it clears it for you.
Okay. Let me go back. Let's see here, share. Ah, here we go. We're back. Can y'all see it? Yes. You know, I sorry for the red. I'm still an elementary school teacher at heart, so a little thematic. I told the executive board, I know it's a little aggressive to have the red, but it's that elementary school teacher in me still. So a little bit about tonight's webinar. Gavin Friedell's here from DPI again to give us an update on the adoption process, where we are. And we're going to continue with our theme of the adoption of new standards. And we're going to look at the practice, since we know now practices are going to be embedded in the standards. We're going to take a look at those and see how do we best work with that within our new standards that will be coming up soon. But before that, we're going to go to our sponsor highlight. Wake Forest School of Medicine, CERTL, is one of our platinum sponsors. If you were with us in our fall meeting, we were at their facilities in Winston-Salem. And instead of doing the video, we have Leslie Russell, who's their program manager for CERTL, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about some of the things that are coming up for there. So Leslie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Carla. Hi, everybody. Glad to be back. So I'm Leslie Russell. Thanks for the intro. Here at CERTL, the Center of Excellence for Research, Teaching, and Learning, we have a lot of things going on, which is exciting. Expansion of some of our student advocacy programs that benefit teammates for the Atrium system itself, but got extensions for some grant funding programs and other outreach initiatives. Recently, I was able to take on the lead of a science outreach collaborative working group, which is just another way to connect educational outreach stakeholders that are in the community. So I think this group is a good example of the net that can be created for people who just want to get good resources in the hands of students and teachers. So in that vein, I wanted to point out a new resource that I was asked recently to serve as the point of contact for Atrium Health's partnership with Amazon Education. Basically bringing free, really cutting edge learning modules and free professional development to educators that, in my mind, are just like all of you. So I thought I would use this time to share a little bit about how Amazon Web Services is basically putting out some good training that you guys can take advantage of. And I would be really excited because I'm a point person that could help you to learn how to use this resource. So I'm going to try to share my screen, if that's okay. So I can show you a little bit. Let's see if it works. Yay. You see that? Okay. So it might be something that some of you are already familiar with because, well, I don't know. I think before I took this job, I was a little ignorant of all of the efforts that corporations like Atrium Health or like Amazon does to actually get resources out to the community. You know, on the one hand, it serves their pipeline project, you know, kind of aims, but as educators, we can benefit from their efforts. So this is about AWS Spark. It's a new series of training modules that's geared for learners that are like 13 and above. And basically they connect cloud computing to real world problem solving. So I thought it was appropriate for this webinar because these are free 90-minute modules. They come with all free educator resources, and Amazon is willing to provide free professional development for teachers that want to implement it. They are, honestly, I'm pretty skeptical as a teacher. There's a lot of free things that come my way, but these are really well done. They're engaging, and they allow the kids to get a look at and use and manipulate AWS cloud computing software. So there are 6 modules that they've created already. So I'll kind of show those to you. Most are geared like computer science, biology related. I think ChatGPT is kind of all in the news right now, and AI technologies, and they have one that teaches the kids about how chatbots are made and kind of introduces them to some AI technologies. And the sports data analytics one is really cool. It also comes with a way to onboard the educator to become a little bit more knowledgeable about how cloud computing actually works. I think I understand that my photos are stored in the cloud, but after going through this, I feel much more competent about how some of the IT world kind of works. So I wouldn't be wasting your time if I didn't think if it was worth, kind of sharing with the group. This is the sports data one where they basically take professional sports. The World Cup was just on, and this does a great job. The module the kids do basically shows how they have like 26 cameras around the stadium, how they have a monitor inside the ball, and talk about how many data points are collected. And then I love it because they actually make it like exciting to learn about quantitative and qualitative data. I think in a way that the kids really latch onto. So I've done a couple of these modules with some students, and it was like, whoa, it actually made me, the students said it actually made them feel like math had a meaning, or all those graphs and the reasons we make them had a point. So I thought it would be worth putting out to this group because you guys connect with so many learners or have district connections to be able to maybe make use of this free resource. I really feel passionate with my role at CERTL to be a conduit to get genuine and useful resources in the hands of educators like you that are making a difference. So, I'm happy obviously to talk to you about how to put problem-based learning into your classrooms, but I like these modules because they're scenario-based. It's around opening a pizzeria and then how to problem solve through that. It's about how cancer physicians are personalizing medicine through analyzing the genome of tumors throughout someone's care, and how, like it or hate it, Amazon is, providing the servers and the cloud space for that to happen. And we want to make sure that kids are literate in math and reading, but also digital literacy is really the next kind of front that I think we need to find more ways to layer that into curriculum. So this would align with a bunch of NGSS standards or standards that you guys need to teach, but also be really cool and engaging. So I'm just here as a resource. My contact information is there, and I would love to nerd out with some of you about how maybe this would work in your classroom. So thanks.
All right, thank you. And again, CERTL is a big sponsor of our PBL workshops and brings it to us as NSALA members for a very low cost. So, look into
Yeah, and I'll
PBL
be
if you're
there in the
interested.
spring and in August. So I look forward to seeing all of you there. Thanks, Carla, for
All right,
giving me a
thank
chance
you.
to share.
Thank you, guys. All right, real quickly, we're going to jump to Gavin for a DPI update. Oops, let me go back. So thanks, Leslie and Gavin. Do you need the script to share?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stop so you can go ahead and jump in.
Okay.
So Gavin Friedel is our DPI liaison. He always brings us great information. And so turn it
All
over.
right, let's see if this works. All right, well, that's not the one I want. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep, the run of the
Okay.
show. Miss-
Let me get that off. All right. All right, so Carla and everybody in Encella, I just want to thank you all again for allowing me to spend a little bit of time with you all tonight, just to let you know where we are in the standards revision process. And I also want to share some student opportunities and professional development opportunities. I feel it would be a good time to add those in. I know there are teachers in the field and also district leaders that want to share some of this information. So I do want to highlight a couple of those things. All right, so my name is Gavin Friedel. I am the 6-8 science consultant at the Department of Public Instruction. I work with some amazing colleagues. You can see Dr. Deborah Hull is our K-5 science consultant. Benita Tipton is our 9-12 science consultant in biology, and Alexis Wood is more of your physical sciences, physics, chemistry. She's also our 9-12 science consultant. We have Dr. Charles Aiken is our section chief, and Howard Ginsberg is his new name is K-12 Integrative STEM Specialist. And then Marilyn Johns is our administration specialist. And some of y'all in here came to the department yesterday to help write the second draft. And so you met the majority of everybody here that's on the screen. And let's just keep moving. We'll get to those revision updates in just a second. The first I want to share with you are some student opportunities. There's 2 on this screen, and y'all probably heard of these. And this one we get asked every year by Keith Bamberger from the Department of Environmental Quality to share out the annual North Carolina AQ-IQ contest. This is for 7th graders, and what this is the Department of Environmental Quality's Division of Air Quality. They invite all North Carolina 7th grade students to participate in this contest. And so what is it? Well, it's annual, and it combines STEM education and project-based learning with student creativity to teach air pollution science to students across the state. This contest gives the students an opportunity to learn about air quality and think about solutions to air pollution. It puts students in charge of creating a project to educate others about an air quality problem. In the past, projects have been posters, they've been videos, Minecraft creations, games, and artistic projects of all sorts. And when, so you can see there are some links. Well, they're not really links, but it tells you where to go. So for the AQ-IQ contest, you can visit the North Carolina Environmental Education webpage. And I also sent it out in this previous bulletin for February for links to go to register. But it's from now until midnight on March 11th that students can create and submit their projects through the form that's on that page. So why do they do this? Why does the Department of Environmental Quality do this? They do this because it allows students to explore their interests and strengths while engaging with the material and learning about air quality. Students are asked to think creatively while designing their projects. They can watch videos and other things to learn about how to create these projects on. They also have a YouTube channel that teachers and students can view. And the next one is called the Nano Innovation Challenge. And this is for middle and high school students. And so middle and high school teachers, they will sign up their students for this competition, and registration is open until February 20th. So in a couple of weeks, the registration deadline will end. So what do students do? They learn about nanoscale science and apply that knowledge to help address one of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Then they create a 3-minute video featuring their ideas. And the submissions are due on April 1st. But teachers must register their school by February 20th. And after they register their class, they will receive additional information. Registration is limited to 25 North Carolina schools. So those of you on here, please push that out to your teachers and also people in your district as well to take this opportunity. Prizes, teams will win prizes that include Amazon gift cards. First place is $100, second place is $50, third place is $25. But also the first place winners will also have an hour of scanning electron microscope time to conduct a class investigation. Now that would be interesting. So they get that opportunity to play with an electron microscope. And then teachers of winning state level teams will receive a $50 gift card from Amazon. All right, so again, who can participate? That's middle and high school students, teams of up to 5 students. And then you can go to that bit.ly link that's on the screen for more information. All right, next slide is professional development opportunities for our teachers. I do want to highlight the Teacher Learning for Effective School-Based Citizen Science, which is open for 5th grade teachers in North Carolina who wish for their students to have access to doing real science with resources for teaching science on their school grounds. And all teachers need to do is complete that brief. There's an interest form, and there's a, I'm sorry, it's a tiny URL, not bit.ly, tiny URL link that's in that arrow for the first one for that information. And participating teachers will implement implement is called COCO. That's an acronym, COCORAHS, and Lost Ladybug with their students using materials developed by their team. Teachers will attend approximately 2 days of summer professional development, 1 person, 1 virtual, and attend monthly virtual meetings, complete a weekly brief instructional log about project implementation, administer student research instruments near the beginning and end of the school year. And the next one that I want to talk to you about is it's a free ACT workshop. And what this workshop's title is to maximize ACT assessments and data for student success. The registration link, it's a tiny URL that's in that arrow. And you can register. There are different areas around North Carolina that teachers can go to participate in this free ACT workshop. So just a couple professional development opportunities for you to look at. And now we'll get to the K-12 science standards revision process. So you can see on the screen, the science standards revision has 3 phases. And we are currently in the 2nd phase, which is the revision phase. And I just want to give you just a brief synopsis of where we've come and to where we are now. So in October, we convened the standards writing teams for each grade band and course. We released draft 1 of the revised standards in December in the form of a standard by standard survey, which was open for 30 days. The Office of Learning Recovery at DPI analyzed the data collected from those surveys of the first draft and produced a report of their findings for the Data Review Committee. The Data Review Committee met virtually during the weeks of January 9th and January 16th to gather feedback from that survey data. And they then wrote a report of the second draft findings to share with the standards writing team, which was used to guide the writing of the second draft. The standards writing team met yesterday at the department. It was an all-day event, and they wrote the second draft of the standards, and the draft will be completed by the end of February, tentatively. Now, the reason why I say that is when I was writing the notes for this slide, we didn't know if we were going to have another meeting, if we didn't finish yesterday, if it was going to be another meeting virtually. But I do want to say all grade bands finished the second draft yesterday. And there are some of you here in Encella, I recognize your names, that were on my team, the middle grades team, as well as other teams throughout the building. And a big thank you all for that help. So multiple drafts of the new standards will be shared for review, and then a final draft will be submitted for the state board approval. Now, once the state board approves the new standards, we can begin phase 3 of the process, which is the implementation phase. And we will go to the state board in July, June or July, one of those months. I'm wanting to say July, I could be wrong, but June or July, we will go to the state board and ask for them to approve, for the third draft of those standards. Once that is approved, then we'll start moving into the implementation phase. And so 2023 to 2024 is the installation year. Teachers will use the current standards for instruction. So those current standards we're teaching now, all next year, teachers will use those current standards, but have access to the new standards so they can acquire any additional resources. We at the department, the science consultants, will provide support documents and any PD necessary for districts to make the transition. We actually met today with Dr. Aiken. We sat down and mapped out a timeline to get started on these support documents. And when we get state board approval in July, we'll start rolling with that timeline, which is developing PD, providing support documents, et cetera, working with testing and accountability as well. In 2024, 2025, that year will be initial implementation. Teachers will use the new standards for instruction. EOCs and EOGs will be based on the current standards, but will contain field test items aligned with the new standards. And again, that's in 2024, 2025. In 2025 to 2030, it will be full implementation. So that means all instruction, all EOCs and EOGs will be aligned with the new standards. And the process should occur again in 2030. So tentatively, we're hoping it can keep continuing this revision process. All right, so the overview of the timeline and the next steps you can see on the screen. The standards writing team met yesterday. They reviewed the DRC report and made those recommendations to write the second draft of those standards. The SWT members began making additional edits and revisions to the draft standards, and the second draft of the proposed standards will be released for public review at the end of February. And they will be submitted to the State Board of Education in June. So June, not July. And once we get permission to, or once those standards are adopted, they say yes, we can adopt those standards. Then we will be rolling with the third phase. And now is the time for any questions if you have them. Let me check the chat here.
Yeah, well, there's one from Michelle. We'll be testing the old standards until 24, 25. Did I hear that correctly?
And in 2024, 2025, those EOCs and EOGs will be based on the current standards, so these standards now, but will contain field test items aligned with those new standards. So you're teaching the current standards now, and then in 2024, 2025, we will use the new standards for instruction, and then the EOCs and EOGs will be based on the current standards, what we're teaching now, but we'll have field test items on the new standards. Does that answer your question, Michelle?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. You're welcome, Michelle. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all. I'll be here until 7. So if you want to shoot me a question in the chat, I'll do my best to answer it.
All right. Thank you, Gavin. And I appreciate the timeline of the years of when things are coming in and testing and stuff. That helps a lot, I think, for everybody.
You're very welcome.
Okay. And so Jen had a, since schools will be moving one-to-one, will there be digital accessibility? That's a question from Jen.
So you mean one-to-one with the laptop initiative? Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
I'm wondering for just more access to digital things with the new standards, with the new curriculum.
Yeah, Jen, that's a very good question, and that's going to be left up to the local districts. If there are one-to-one schools, any curriculum that those districts develop for the new standards, they will decide on how to implement that on those one-to-one devices. We at the department don't have, we're not in charge of one-to-one. That is a local control district decision.
And here's
Okay,
another,
thank you.
okay. And here's another question, Gavin. Will there be a second revision process for the upcoming public comment before it goes to the SBE?
So you mean for the second draft?
Mhm.
Am I hearing that correctly? So it's going to be just a quick survey. It's not going to be an in-depth standard by standard survey. It's just going to be a quick survey. The standards writing team will come back and make any sort of revisions needed, and then it's going to go straight to the state board in June. So it's not going to be in depth as it was for the first and second drafts. I'm sorry, for the first drafts. Yeah, it's going to be shared for review, and then the final draft will be submitted for state board approval.
Right, thank you. And we'll be going more in depth into the, someone had commented about the PD sounds good for our our spring meeting. We're working on how do we implement this? How do we get PD? How do we instruct our teachers into implementing these new standards? So that's going to be the focus of our spring meeting. So I'll be talking to the folks at DPI and things like that for our meeting.
Wonderful. And Carl, let me answer that last question. I don't think I heard it correctly, but we're releasing this second draft, and it has to remain open for 30 days. We're going to go through the same cycle that we've used the past two rounds. And then that feedback for the second draft will be analyzed again by the Office of Learning Recovery. And then the DRC will review it again, write another report, and then the standards writing team will have a chance to edit this second draft. So I'm sorry, it's the same process it was for the first draft, also for the second draft. But that third draft, that final draft, is going to be a short survey and there's only going to be like radio dots to fill in for those to answer questions, and then it's sent through, and that's it.
So Gavin, again, when will the second draft be released for that 1 month long period window of commenting?
The end of February.
Okay, folks. So that gives us all a heads up to when to look at it, and everything that we did in our first two webinars should help you go back and look at that second draft and make comments and provide feedback. So
Yes.
Keep an eye out for that. All right, thank you, Gavin. We really appreciate all of keeping us up to date and current on this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Carl, I got a question for Gavin.
Yep.
I'm sorry I'm late, and this might be a little controversial question, Gavin. It's not really on what you're covering now, but I just got aware that, there's a House Bill 8 out there right now that's been proposed by Representative Perry that would replace our elective in science with a computer science class requirement for high school. And so I won't get into all the things about the element, we don't really test the earth science yet, and we got a lot of coaches teaching, we got a lot of problems with that. However, it's very important. It's the earth environmental course, and the bill prohibits them from, in other words, they don't touch biology or the physical science. It's just the third elective, which would probably be earth science. So it would substitute and count computer science course instead of. And I know you probably can't do a lot of comment on that being with DPI, but what can we do about it?
Well, Manley, good evening. And we did get some news from. I would encourage you to reach out to Dr. Aiken and shoot him an email. Again, you're right. I can't go into details about it because that's not my position. However, I could. I think what he has to share, because he did tell us a little bit, will be encouraging. So reach out to him, shoot him an email really quick, and he could fill you in on what he's heard. He's in a better position to let you know on that information.
Yeah, my feeling is, there are other electives. They don't have to take something out. They can just say that's a required course and let students choose which other electives they take. But if someone thinks that computer science is a science course, then they're mistaken. So anyway, what it's worth, sorry to bring that up at this time, but I thought it's a good time to get the word out to everybody.
Good question. And yeah, reach out. Dr. Aiken can fill you in on that, Manley.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Gavin.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Unmute. Someone's asked for, they don't have the bill number. Can
House
can
Bill 8, House Bill
Yeah.
8.
you-
House Bill 8. Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Gavin. Some things for us to look at, and an email, I guess I'll shoot to our advocacy committee too. So, and so they can get involved. So thanks again. We appreciate it. So before we get started, we're going to go into our main session and our main speaker for today. But I'd like to thank Atia Merchant at Carolina Biological for setting up our next presenter for us. I reached out to some folks and said, I need someone for this. And she was a very immediate response. And we even had a Zoom as I was driving to Delaware when I got to Natural Bridge in Virginia. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the help in getting this set up for us. So one of our other sponsors here. All right, so I'm happy to introduce Kat Fancher, who's a program specialist with Smithsonian Science Education Center, as our speaker this evening. She is one of 5 education specialists with Smithsonian, and she travels all around the United States, giving professional development with teachers on curriculum and science and practices. And she was very excited to be able to come in and talk to us about the practices. So I'm going to turn it over to her and let her tell you a little more about herself. And I'm going to just be quiet. So welcome, Kat.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I recognize a few names, which is really fun for me. As we go along, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, unmute, let me know what's going on. So I titled this one, What Now? That's not the first title I had, but we keep adding more and more things. And so this is another thing on the plate. And so what are we doing now? This is all about integrating science and engineering practices. So what I'm going to cover is who am I? Why am I here? What are the science and engineering practices? Why do we have to add in something else? What is all of this going to look like for me and the teachers I serve? And then questions we have. So who is this lady? I'm Kat Fancher. I am from Smithsonian Science Education Center. So we are part of the Smithsonian. Maybe you've heard of us. The Smithsonian has 21 museums, 21 libraries, 6 research centers, 5 education centers, a zoo, and we are actually entering year 176 of increasing and diffusing knowledge. So this background I have is one of our latest endeavors, which is called Open Access, and I dropped the link in the chat. So for our Open Access, we released 4.5 million artifacts, the digital asset of them, for Commons Creative Licensing 00, which means you can do whatever you want with it. You can slap it on a t-shirt and sell it. You can rearrange it. You can change the colors. You can do whatever you want. And so there are 3D models and 2D images that are available for all of that. And it's a really fun place to play with. So a little bit more about the Smithsonian Science Education Center. We have essentially 2 main arms. The first arm is what we call curriculum and communications. So we put out a variety of things. We do have a basal K-8 curriculum that you may have seen the boxes go by. We're actively in a program in some North and South Carolina schools with some funding from the Department of Education using our new Smithsonian Science for the Classroom. Atia dropped the link about it in there. Thank you. We also have a set of curriculum that is about taking action that is based on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We just released our first 2 modules of computational thinking, one for 3rd grade and one for 5th grade, that we're actively doing PD on tonight. And we have makerspace activities, digital games, and we do a lot of work with corporations and helping them get their staff into the classroom. I have worked on some part of all of these projects, but what I do most of the time is on the professional services side. So the professional service side is generally our public facing side. And the main thing that I do is professional development on our curriculum. I was just in New York right before Christmas, and we have one that we call SEAT, Smithsonian Science Education Academy for Teachers, that we do. That's this first picture. That is my energy group going through a power plant up here in Virginia. We've put out a variety of different resources. This one is a video series called Good Thinking. I chose the video Attack the Knack, which addresses the idea that you have to have a knack for something, or like a natural inclination, instead of being able to learn anything. We have different things that we do. This is from our English language support professional development series that we did. We have a DEI system out supports out right now. We have an entire workbook of different resources to use. Some of our corporate work that we do with aerospace. And then the thing that all of our thing is built on is the LASER model. And so we do strategic planning institutes, we do action planning, and trying to make sure that you have a good connection of all of these supports that make everything work. And so we have some system for all of these. So that's kind of who I am, where I came from. We were in a meeting for the North Carolina, South Carolina work, and Atia was like, somebody want to talk about science and engineering practice? I was like, I do. I've had a very weird background, and the one thing that has been consistent for me are the science and engineering practices. Every job I have done, I have used the science and engineering practices as my primary frame of work, and then gathered different knowledge along the way. So what are the SEPs, the science and engineering practices? They are describing practices that scientists and engineers use as they investigate and create solutions. They generally come with two sets of wording, one for science and one for engineering. So science is always about explaining phenomena, connecting real world with a theory, and making connections against different things. Engineering is always about solving a problem for humans. These are just thinking skills. As we go through them, there are 8 of them, and you will see that they are just the things that you want adult humans to be able to do and think. I end up doing a lot of maybe less than nice comparisons about, in arguing from evidence, wouldn't it be nice if people could tell you if their evidence was actually related to the thing that they are arguing or not, or provide some kind of connection to how they got from point A to point B. And the final thing is, this is all on a spectrum. You have your starting point, and it just goes forever. And the spectrum is not tied to age. It is tied to experience. So if you have a student who has never had to make a model of anything, they're going to be much lower on the spectrum than potentially a child of the same age who's been doing it since kindergarten. And so you can have adults who are lower down, higher up. And the other thing is, it's a never-ending arrow. It always goes. There's always more to learn. Even people who design experiments for a living, there's always a way to improve. There's always new information coming out about how we can eliminate different variables. And so you're always adding on and learning new things. So the plan here is I'm going to go through the practices, honestly, pretty quickly, because I want to give some time to, and I know this is scary for a lot of people, I want to put you in breakout rooms for just a hot second and have you put some ideas on a Padlet. So hopefully I don't lose too many people at that point. So as I'm going through these pretty quickly, again, if I'm going too fast, if you have a question, pop in the chat, throw it out at me. Let me know what's going on, because I'm just staring at a bunch of little blank boxes. So first, asking questions and defining problems. So this is all about deciding what is actually going on. What is connected, what is not connected, what are things that we could do, what are things we couldn't do, what is the problem and what is fluff. So on one end, I have a rock. Rock doesn't ask a lot of questions. From that, moving up the spectrum, we have things like, what does Google say? What can I just what can somebody tell me? And then we can start asking more specific questions about what happens if we remove sunlight from something. What happens if we test different variables that we know have impact, and start trying different things in different orders. Developing and using models, so create some kind of representation, whether this is a physical replication, a diagram, drawing, mathematical analogies, computer simulations, not only actually drawing them out, we're probably not going to get a lot of kids who can build an entire computer simulation, but if you get a PhET simulation, can they understand what it's telling them? Do they understand if they add in more energy and the molecules speed up and it moves from phase to phase? Do they understand what's happening? So I added these, and I want to point out the difference here is not the artistic ability, it's the amount of information they're providing. So in one, we're literally just recording what we see happening. This is not really much of a model, it's helpful, but it's more of recording data and less of a model, unless we're representing something else like an iceberg. In the second one, we've got some information about what's happening on a molecular level in the ice. But why the third one is really the best one is it's showing you what is happening as we add energy or remove energy, and what is the vocabulary we use for that? What are the different levels of things that are happening? So it's really the amount of information that's being provided in the model that is increasing. 3, planning and carrying out investigations, testing theories, building a model and testing the model, planning a course of action, and testing solutions. So it begins with a very set teacher structure. So, in the first grade, we have a plant that we want to see, what do plants need to live? So what can we start with? And the teacher will probably provide a couple of variables. And this one, I went with sunlight or water. So maybe half the class test what happens if there's sunlight, and the other half test what happens if there's not sunlight or water, or any combination thereof. The next level is you as the teacher introduce all of these different test options, and you show them how they work and what kind of information we get out of that. And then they choose which pieces to use to figure out the information they need. And then a higher level would be completely independent design. You read up on what are your options, and then figure out what you want to test. 4, analyzing and interpreting data. Determine what data is useful, explain anomalies, explain what the data is actually saying, and see the difference between correlation and causation. I always throw in correlation and causation because it's one of those things that persist into adulthood if it's not addressed. regularly is that people see a line that has two variables and they're like, oh, but they are, you know, connected to each other. And it's like, yeah, just because they both do the same thing does not mean they're actually connected to each other. Again, I always think of these as thinking skills because if you just want to process any information, this is kind of what you need. So in this one, I have 8 out of 10 plants without sunlight died. So sunlight is important. So in the middle one, we consider only that there were still 2 that didn't react the way we expected. So what was going on? And so we interpret the data even further of what are the outliers, what is going on, what is the setup, what are all of the things that's going on. 5, we're over halfway there now. Using mathematics and computational thinking. I want to point out this is 1, not asking people to use computers, and 2, not asking them to necessarily do math. It is a ability to use mathematic practices. So the understanding of that we can figure out a mathematical relationship in our data in a graph or something else. That's not necessarily evaluating their ability to do it, just necessarily their ability to figure out that it is an option. Now, clearly, the better you are at math, the more you understand math, the more you can apply those practices. The second thing is computational thinking. Computational thinking does not mean the ability to use a computer. It means the ability to break things down into steps, break down big problems into sub-problems, use sequences in a repetitive pattern to try to break things down and try different solutions to see what's coming. And then you can figure out whether a computer can help us more efficiently solve those problems. But automation could be, is there something that not necessarily a computer, but a machine could do for us? And remember, a machine doesn't require electricity. So if I need confetti, do I have to cut the individual pieces out? Or is there a machine I could use to make this happen more efficiently? So on our, down here on our spectrum, we have using qualitative and quantitative data, using mathematic processes for data such as percentage and ratios, and using algorithmic functions to support claims. 6, constructing explanations and designing solutions. So you've got all of this information. You've kind of started to figure out what's going on. How can we explain this in a meaningful manner? And this is generating unique ideas to explain phenomena and provide solutions to specific problems. And I wanted to point out, in unique, I don't mean, oh my gosh, this is the first time we've ever heard of this idea. It means in their own words and life experience. So not providing a standard definition, but explaining what they actually see happening and what all of the things together mean, and valuing their understanding and their ability to synthesize this information over vocabulary and specific definitions. Because you can memorize a definition and have no idea what it means. So down here, I just have, if plants don't have sunlight, they will die. If plants need access to light, which allows them to make sugar as they grow. Plants need light that provides a small amount of UV, heat, and visible spectrum light to help them grow and create sugar. We have a great suggestion for I'm gonna say a book. I think it's a book. on helping students make sense of the world using next generation science and engineering practices. 7, stick with me, we're almost there. Engaging in argumentation from evidence is my favorite. It is, what are you saying? Why are you saying it? What is your backup? And why does that backup apply? This is the one I want every adult to be able to do. And there are some adults that just can't. I went back to engineering for this one. My design was the tallest, so it was the best. My design was able to hold 20 pounds for the longest amount of time. So in this first one, we just have a claim. This one, we have some evidence starting to back that up. And in the last one, we have some connections in between what's going on and what's being said. Last one, we can do this. Obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information, being able to gather information from various sources, compare information to see where are the parts that agree, where are the parts that don't agree, and being able to explain your ideas in a meaningful way. It does not matter if you cure cancer if you cannot share that information in a meaningful manner. So to make sure I'm gonna keep going along as quickly as I can. Why do I have to do something new? The good news is you don't. You already do it. So this is just a model that NSTA made to show where there is some connections in between math, science, and ELA. So science being the science and engineering practices. And this beige area in the middle being our best friend, where all the things happen at once. And I love this graph and it's great, but I don't think that it really captures everything of where the connections are. So I'm going to ask us to try again. So these are some examples I thought of: ELA, obtaining and evaluating evidence, making arguments from evidence. Math, we do some computational thinking, we break our problems down, defining models, making models, defining the problem. History, asking questions, making models. But I really want to know, what does this look like for you? And so I have a Padlet set up, which is just essentially virtual chart paper. And what I would love is, I'm going to toss you into some breakout rooms for just a minute so you have a couple buddies to bounce ideas off of. And just throw in some ideas of how do SEPs already exist in your instruction, and what are some ways that you could make them more evident without having to change everything you're doing. Some ways to highlight that they're already there. Before I throw you into breakout rooms, does anyone have any questions for me? All right, you're only going to be there for about 4 minutes, so I hope I don't lose too many of you. No, I lied. I can't put you into breakout groups. I can. It's also in the breakout room. Here we go.
All right. Do you want me to do it?
I got it. I found it.
Okay, great.
All right. Here we go. You've got about 4 minutes. I will share the slide link. It is also in the main slide arena. All right, real quick.
Okay. Room 1, room 2. Are you still sending us in there?
I'm sorry, I can't find my, you should be in there. Let me find out what's going on.
Oh, room to join. I can just join one, it looks like.
Yes, I did not include co-host.
All right, so, and then there's a couple folks out here still. Let's see. Let me go here.
In Catawba County.
Okay. And I teach 6th grade science in New Hanover County.
Great. And we have Carla and Akua. Am I saying that correctly?
Hi, yes, you are. Apologies. I just popped in to be more of an observer today. I'm with the S&T Center.
Did we get somebody?
I got a note that needed help.
Yes, we lost the link for the Padlet.
Okay, let me see if I can send it to you here.
If you just put it in the chat, it's just the chat cleared when we went to our rooms.
Okay, let me get back to the room here. So I can just go to chat, right?
I was gonna say, if you
No.
have a way to put it in everybody's chat, that would probably help.
Yeah,
I just sent it to chat again.
yeah, that may or may not be everybody. So I'd check in on the other rooms.
Okay.
Let me, did that work for us, guys?
It's in the
Yeah,
chat,
it's in the chat.
You guys,
Yay. Thank you.
uh-huh.
but I'm on my phone, so
kind of feel like, oh no. Anytime I feel like they're kind of getting something, which sounds, they should be, but anytime I feel like, oh, this is too easy, like let's kick it up to a different level and give them something a little bit more difficult on those SEPs. So just kind of trying to work with them and then kind of.
Okay, Valerie and Betty Jo need to get, and I'm going to go back to the chat room. I'm trying to get into a room because they lost the link to the, I'm trying to put the link to the Padlet in everybody's breakout room.
So the rooms are closing. You won't be able to get back in.
Okay,
So I will share the link again and give everybody a second to share their ideas.
okay, sounds good. Yeah, I got these little things, help from here. I was like, I don't know how to.
Okay. I know that was super fast. I know not everybody is done. I know not everybody can find the Padlet. So I'm going to redrop the Padlet link and I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to put their ideas in.
That was really fast.
It was. I'm just trying to keep us on schedule.
That's great. Thank you.
okay, I just have to say something to my group. We were trying to remember an acronym: question formulation technique. Okay. Or quantum field theory, whichever.
Yeah, whichever applies to your day. All right, while I'm giving you another minute to to put everything in the Padlet, I do want to point out my information is here. Please feel free to contact me. I know I went through everything really fast. I'm happy to share lots of information, essentially whatever you want to know. The main resource that I use to pull all this and that I think might be of interest to you is Appendix F of the Next Generation Science Standards. And the reason I like this one is because it has the spectrum of what you should expect at different grade bands, which I find super useful. Also, if you end up on the SSCC website, you can find the information for all of us, literally everyone who works for our organization. I just want to make sure that you knew that information is here. It is also in the primary slideshow. So now we're going to switch back between things. Share. All right, and this is what I am seeing. I'm going to leave this Padlet up so that if you want to reference it, or if you want to add to it, or if you want to use it for collecting data from your teachers or whoever, you can see you can see what different people are putting up. I want to leave on a final idea of claims evidence reasoning. We use it a lot in science, I know, but one time I was doing a discussion about it, and in the room that I was doing it in had all of these rules for reading and all of these rules for math. And so in the reading, why does this character feel this way? What is your text? What is your evidence for text? I'm like, that's claims evidence reasoning. And in math, you have the same thing. Why are you going to use the things you're going to use? What are your choices? And why are you, what about the problem is encouraging you to do that? That's also claims evidence reasoning. So it's everywhere. We just tend to not call it by that name. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. Atia's information is in the chat. My information abounds. Thank you for hanging in with me and letting me be part of the party. And I'm going to turn it back over to Carla.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kat, and thank you, Atia. I know that was a real fast overview. Kind of want to go back into some of this when we have our spring meeting and get some time to dive deeper into it. Let me start doing the slide share. And Kat and I talked about this a little bit. Back in the day when I was a facilitator for the Mickelson ExxonMobil Teachers Academy, I was introduced to the practices quite early when the drafts of it all came out. And we decided that quite early that we were going to start really learning them and putting them into the work that we were doing with the Mickelson Academy. And so one of the things I started doing in my class was keeping track of it. So it looks like with the new standards, there's going to be one attached to every standard. So there's going to be one that's laid out there. For us, for many of you who are here, like Kat said, you're already doing a lot of this in your classroom. And I liked to keep track of what I was doing to make sure that I saw that the way I taught, I was heavy in some of the practices and lighter in some of the other practices. So I just had this, and I've got this on here. You can link to it and do whatever you want with it or not, where I kept track of every investigation I did. What practices did I see? You can't do them all in one class. You're just not going to get them all with one lesson. But I found that I was hitting at least 2 or 3 of them when I was working with my kids. And I had a very distinct pattern that came out when I was teaching these. And so that's a nice resource. So in my lesson plan book, this was right in the front, so I could always keep track of what I was doing with my science. I had the practices explained as I was getting used to using them. So that's a nice resource for your teachers. And I have this for you. This has a really nice layout of what practices, which each one means. So I use that quite a bit. And that way I could really learn how to use them, because I think as we work with our teachers on either our teaching partners or on our teams or in our schools or as the teachers we coach, they're going to have a good explanation and see how these are used and see what they are using. So I have this little tracking sheet here for you. I have a link to the practices explained. Kat talked about Appendix F of the NGSS, so I put the link there for you to have, so you can link directly that, because it does it by grade bands, what should be happening in each grade. And then Gavin had suggested a book for you guys here. So I just did a screenshot of his chat, so you could look at that title of helping students make sense of the world using the NGSS science and engineering practices. So a little few helpful resources there for you all. And as we get into that. So before we finish this off and go to our next section, does anyone have any questions for Kat? And just open it up. You can turn on your, come off of mute and ask her questions.
Hi, this is Stacy, and I wondered the resources that you mentioned at the very beginning they're OER, right? Are they open education resources?
No, they're open access.
Open access.
So literally the Smithsonian said these are now public domain.
Public domain. Okay. So in North Carolina, we have an OER platform. So I was wondering if they were somehow accessible through that, or would we just go directly to the Smithsonian?
Absolutely. Just go through the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian does not like to be attached to other things because government. And so it houses pretty much all of its own stuff. So all of our games, all of the artifacts, all of that, you can just get through Smithsonian.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
The link to that's in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we link to that in the chat where to go?
Already done.
Already done? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kat. We appreciate your wealth of knowledge on the practices and your enthusiasm about that.
Please reach out to me. I'm sorry I have to run, but please, we love to hear, we love to support anything Atia and I can do for you. Please let us know.
I had a chat earlier, so if anyone wants to get to Kat and she's gone, come to me and I'll get to her. So we work together. Thank you.
All right. So thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Atia, for arranging all of this for us. So I have a real quick from Learn Ed Notebooks, one of our other sponsors. So got to play their little, here we go.
LearnEdNotebooks.com. We provide engaging instruction with easy implementation and proven results. Our three-part program includes student notebooks, digital presentations, and teacher materials. Every participating student receives 9 notebooks. Each notebook follows the same format and includes defined vocabulary list, unit organizer in which standards are outlined, 20 bell ringers, all guided notes and instructional information. All content is streamlined in a way to appeal to multiple learning styles and provide opportunities for differentiation. Inquiry-based labs and activities are also included, as well as charts and diagrams to help organize instruction. Each unit wraps up with a review, practice questions, and a written assignment, as well as additional note-taking pages and color-coded flashcards. The digital presentations that accompany each notebook include standards linked unit organizer, pre-check assessment, a complete slideshow of all instruction, test review, and a post-check assessment. Every teacher receives the following resources to guide the completion of each unit, including a custom pacing guide, materials outline, rubrics, and all keys. Our affordable programs revolutionize the way you can teach in your classroom. For more information, please contact us at info@learnednotebooks.com.
All right. And so again, without our sponsors, they just help us out a lot. Oops, sorry. What I need to do here. Oops, get over here. Oh, Lord. Okay.
Very specific about what he wanted.
Okay.
There you go. And I really like it.
Stop. Okay, there we go. All right. So as we finish up, remember, we like to hear about your experience. There's the QR code to go into the survey. Once you do that, you will get a link to your CEU credit for this. And there's the bit.ly for it. So I'll leave that up for a second here if you want to, oops, I lied about that. In a second, I'll show you all the executive board now. We have, with our new website, we all have our own Encela.net emails. And so I'm going to put that slide up here in a second. I'm giving you guys time to get this. Please feel free to reach out. We have our spring meeting coming up in May, and in the next probably 10 to 20 days, I'll be working on the plans. If you have any ideas or suggestions for this of what you would like to see. We have a general idea about working with us as leaders of helping us implement and teachers implement new standards. If you have anything that you really want help with or ideas for, please let us know. Here's the link, the bit.ly again to the survey. This is the link to the slideshow for tonight, and everybody's PowerPoints are linked there. And so you can go right into them and find those. So you'll be able to have access to all CAT's information there. But I'm going to turn it over to Beverly really quickly for some door prizes.
Hi, everyone. This is always fun for me to do. So we give away 2 door prizes every webinar. And tonight, the 2 winners are Lenora Crabtree and Dylan Crockett. Way to go.
All right. Well, congratulations. Congratulations. It's always nice to win a door prize. Don't know what that's like. So thank you. Thank you, Beverly, for doing that for us.
Sure.
So here are our new email address. You might want to take a screenshot. You also have the link so you can contact us directly on these. These will always be in place for whoever takes these offices. So that's just kind of the new thing with all the hard work that went into our new website. So
Oh, Carla, one
yeah.
thing I forgot to tell the door prize winners, what are they getting? So be prepared. Something from Amazon is coming your way in your email.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. All right. So thank you for joining us for number 16 of our webinar. And happy Valentine's Day to you all, since that's coming up. Thus the red theme on tonight's webinar. Does anyone have any questions before we shut down for the evening? All right, so we look forward to seeing you at our webinar on Teaching with Phenomena in April. And please look out for information on our website about everything else that's coming up. All right. Thank you all for joining us and taking your time. We know your time is valuable. So see you all soon.
Thanks, Carla.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, now I need to stop the recording.